The BBC's Director General admits that the organisation is woke, and we have new evidence showing that the BBC is biased against right-wingers. Well, while we're in the middle of a massive health problem globally around the world, the BBC have other priorities. They are still focused on being incredibly politically correct, biased, and woke. Now, first, genuinely, I hate that word woke, but this is what they're using now, so let's just go with it. So we knew that over the last few years, the BBC and the staff, the producers, everybody who worked there, there's a big chunk of people in there who are not really happy about Brexit. They're not really happy about the Conservative government, and which should be fine in any normal organisation, news outlet. But these guys are supposed to be impartial. That's what they say. They have their charter and everything. Now, Channel 4, we have talked about Channel 4 before, and the head of news at Channel 4, who openly and publicly has expressed her opinion against Boris Johnson, against Brexiteers, because we're all stupid, obviously. And but this time we had the BBC's Director General, Tony Hall, who went to Parliament and he was meeting the Culture and Media Select Committee, and he was grilled, and he basically admitted that the organisation is biased and politically correct. So let's watch the first clip, because this is about the TV license, the TV tax, because the way they treat the taxpayers is like we're all criminals, and we have to be chased to be forced to be paying this TV tax. So this is the chair of the select committee, Julian Knight, grilling Tony Hall on TV tax.
I'm going to read it to you if I may. It goes, "Dear legal occupier, a INO 10004 code has been issued against your address. We use it to target unlicensed homes like yours that require a visit from TV licence enforcement officers. This letter is a formal notification that your details have now been passed to our Sheffield enforcement team, and you can be visited at any time, day or evening, weekdays or weekends. It is a criminal offence to watch, direct or record live TV programmes or any channel or device, or download or watch BBC programmes on iPlayer without being covered by a TV licence. In block, you could face prosecution and financial penalties if enforcement find evidence of illegal TV viewing." You then outline the fines, and then you say basically to stop this visit, buy a TV licence, move an existing licence, or tell us you don't need one. To stop this enforcement, you need to visit this enforcement visit to your home and change your status. You need to act now. Now, I'm just wondering, because these are letters that people get often even when they have actually declared that they don't need a licence. And is this in any way an appropriate way, do you believe, for the BBC to communicate with your employer and my employer, the general public?
Yeah, it is incredibly sad and kind of disgusting the way they are treating the taxpayers. And as Julian Knight said, they are treating the MPs bosses, because we are the general public pay the salaries of these guys. And so this is that, but it gets worse, because Julian Knight asked about the BBC being woke and being biased, and instead of actually denying it, for once, Tony Hall, the head of BBC, actually admitted, saying, "Oh yes, yeah, we are. We should be very focused and have priorities to have diversity based on skin colour and gender and all the usual stuff that they rant about."
So he just didn't think you're just too woke as an organisation. That's not just what his view is, and basically he's just saying to you that he thinks you're too woke because you're not reflecting the sort of the widely enough the sort of the culture and thought diversity that goes on in this country.
I believe we need our ambition. I mean, look, you can never reflect totally every single strand of opinion in a country, but we should be aiming to do exactly that. My belief is that the makeup of the BBC should reflect the different strands of opinion, demographics, makeup of the population of the UK, and that's what I've been aiming for.
We reject any charge that you're too woke, and basically this is what he's sort of suggesting.
I believe that we should be diverse in all its in all that it means. That means social diversity as well as diversity by where you come from, as well as diversity in BME, etc. And I don't know whether that's woke or not, to be honest with you, but that's what I think a good organisation should be. And I go back, that's how you get better ideas for programmes, for your news programmes and so on, by reflecting the diversity of the UK. And I think that's exciting. And I think equality of expression and people's ability to say what they want to say is also important.
Interestingly enough, they're not really... they don't really show any diversity of thought or diversity of the debate when it comes to left, right, Brexit, Remain. And we've seen in the past where news panels and, for example, the BBC Question Time being dominated by Remainers, by the pro-establishment people, and there are a lot of occasions where you don't really see outspoken people from the right. You see a lot of outspoken people from the left, like Ash Sarkar and others. But when was the last time you saw someone like, I don't know, Paul Joseph Watson or Carl Benjamin being on Question Time or even get an invite? Never. It's never going to happen. Right-wing YouTubers, you're not welcome. But speaking of BBC Question Time, their bias goes further because, for example, the other day we had an episode where they were talking about obviously the health issues, and they had an expert on the panel, an impartial expert, that's what they said. A very independent person who was expressing his views, and he was attacking the government because he's an independent, very impartial expert. He wasn't though, was he? Yes, the so-called health expert on the BBC Question Time on Thursday was in fact a Labour member, very close to the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn. He has previously called Brexiteers and Brexit Britain an embarrassing, dirty little country. He once tweeted, "I am broad left, radical, non-trot, baby boomer, green, gender inclusive, feminist Labour. Party member for 50 years." This is actually John Ashton's tweet himself admitting in the past of his identity, as they say. Yeah, so he was, as we said, invited on the Question Time as the former Regional Director of Public Health England and now an independent health expert. And he has previously attacked Brexiteers. He has also attacked right-wing activists who are advocates for example, e-cigarettes, calling them the C word on Twitter. And he's so impartial that his son is named Fabian Che after Che Guevara. So this is a weird situation. Like, why are these guys being invited on the panel as independent when they should really declare the interest first? And there's no issue. I have no issue with people declaring that they are right-wing or left-wing or are linked to anything, as long as they're honest about it. But this guy goes on TV, attacks the government, and so regardless of what opinion is on what the government are doing right now with the health strategy, some people are happy, some people are not happy. You could have your own opinion, but as long as you declare your interest. When you have someone like this going on TV ranting about this, there will be a lot of ordinary people who assume, well, guessing he has no interest, so he's probably telling the truth. But it's not. Although it's not just the BBC, because even when he went on Sky News the other night, he was introduced again as an independent and impartial expert. No mention of being linked to the Labour Party.
Well, joining us from central London is Professor Dr. John Ashton, who's the former Regional Director for Public Health in the North West. And with me here in the studio is Dr. Simon Clarke. He's a microbiologist at the University of Reading. Morning to both of you, gentlemen. Let's speak to you first, Professor Ashton. I mean, you were saying very openly last night you thought the UK government had lost the plot.
Well, they have lost the plot, haven't they?
Although we must say, it's not just the BBC Question Time programme. As you guys remember, Victoria Derbyshire, one of our beloved, very professional and unbiased programmes on the BBC, also had another person who was linked to the Labour Party, who was actually a Labour advisor, who was introduced again as an impartial and independent person. So yeah, the BBC's Victoria Derbyshire show failed and neglected to introduce Sir Bob Kerslake as a Labour advisor. They actually introduced him as he's just there to be impartial, and but he's an advisor to Jeremy Corbyn, and this was a programme where they were discussing the whole issue between Sir Philip Rotnam and Priti Patel and the whole civil service making a move against the Boris Johnson's government, and there was no mention of him being linked to Jeremy Corbyn. But we have more evidence, because again the other day, the Extinction Rebellion, the pro-green crap people, had a massive rally in the north of England, and it was about obviously the climate, but they had some miners and coal miners who were taking their side, and it was a massive surprise to have an alliance between the coal miners and Extinction Rebellion hippies. But we actually discovered that there were no coal miners there. There were fake coal miners planted by Extinction Rebellion, and the BBC failed to actually correct themselves until after a lot of complaints that was made against them, and then eventually they admitted that there were not really any former miners. There was one son of a coal miner there who was pro-Extinction Rebellion. So BBC's Politics Live passed off Extinction Rebellion protesters wearing fake miners' helmets made of cardboard as being real miners. And as we said, there was apparently, according to BBC, they claimed that there was one son of a coal miner at the protest, but the rest of them were actually, in fact, Extinction Rebellion activists.
Mitigate the climate catastrophe.
Now, interestingly, it's not just Extinction Rebellion who are there by this open cast mine protesting about the fact that there is an application to, as you say, expand it. But you've got miners, former miners, families there who are also with you. There they are behind you.
Yes, we have, yeah.
So you've joined together. It isn't just green campaigners.
So the people of Bradley have been protesting against the mine for the past 30 years. As far as I know, the mine started being dug a couple of years ago now, but it would have happened much further before that if it hadn't been for the local people protesting.
How strong is feeling there then in the community?
Loads of people are against it. I've not met anyone in Durham who's actually for the mine. Banks Mining Company have been saying that they're going to create jobs, but in reality, the mine is going to be closed next year. So what's the point in all this destruction at this point in the climate crisis? We know that we're experiencing storms and floods, that are unprecedented, and this will continue to worsen the longer that this crisis goes unchecked.
Lauren, thank you very much. Stay with us.
So everybody's angry and people are on our side.
All right, we're going to speak to our panel here. That's an unlikely alliance there with miners and former miners against this open cast mine. Should the government certainly support the idea of it being turned down, this application to expand it?
Yeah, here's the BBC for you. And no one else is actually exposing these sort of things. And right now, considering the debate is all about the future of the BBC TV license, the whole TV tax stuff, and I think it's good that the public should be aware of what they're actually doing. Otherwise, they could continue, as considering we had last week the BBC organising a pro-establishment, pro-BBC march outside their own building. The establishment protesting the establishment, trying to save their TV license and their gravy train. I think it's very important for us to talk about these sort of things. Otherwise, they'll be winning, and then they'll be coming after us with their stupid vans outside your houses. So this is the BBC being professional as usual, and we have more to talk about this in the next couple of days, but also when it comes to the health issues. So if you haven't joined us yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on that bell next to it so you get notified. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.